Hello friends, welcome to Nigira Techies. Today I'm starting one new series, React JS Authentication. So our first video is registration implementation and managing the data. I'm going to use the JSON Server REST API. Okay, and here I listed out all the steps. We can go one by one. And also I have splitted this video into three segments. The first one is configuration. So the configuration includes creating the application and installing the required packages and creating the required files. And the next one is designing part. I'm going to complete my design using HTML and Bootstrap. And the final one is implementation. So it includes completing our registration, including the validations. Okay. So the first thing is I'm going to create my application. So let me copy this command. npx create react app. Then our application name. So application name I am provided React Authentication. So the application installation gets completed. Now let me open in VS Code. Okay, fine. Now let me go to the new terminal. So we can install the Bootstrap. So let me copy the command. npm install Bootstrap. Okay, the Bootstrap installation gets completed. Now let me refer one CS file. So in our index.js file, node models, Bootstrap, then our Bootstrap file. Okay. So let me take this minified version. Next, I'm going to install this react-toastify. So this is for providing the notification. Okay, great. This one also gets installed. Now I'm going to include one more CS file. So this is for our Reactify. Okay, we have done. And the next one is for routing. So in this React.js, we don't have the default routing. So we have to install this one manually. Okay, great. This one also gets completed. Now let me go to my app.js. Here I'm going to remove this header section. And the next I'm going to use this browser router here. So inside we can define our routing. So before that I'm going to create some components. The first one is home. Here I'm going to use this SFC stateless function component and my component name is home. Okay. So the home initially I'm going to provide one static value and my next component is login. And the final one is registration. So let me save this one. And in our app.js we can include the routes. Inside the routes we have this route option. First one is path. So the default one is home. So in this element section we can include the first one is home. Okay. And the similar way I'm going to add two more routes. The second one is login and the third one is register. Okay. And we can change the component also. Login component and also a register component. Okay. And part of the toast notification I'm going to include this toast component here. I mean toast container. So now we almost complete the configuration section. I believe one package is pending. Okay. Actually, this is for the JSON Server REST API. So let me define this one also. We can go to our new terminal. So see the command JSON server and db.json file. So currently I don't have any files, so it will create. At the port number I'm going to execute in 8000 because so default value is 3000. Even our React JS application also going to run in the 3000. So I'm provided the separate port name. Okay. So see our JSON server is ready. I mean the db.json file, and see our application is running in the port number. So here let me remove the existing objects. Okay. I'm going to create one new object user. So let me remove all the empty data here. Okay. So this is our API endpoint. Now let me run our application. So see now the default value, welcome to Niagara Techies, it is coming from the home component. So if I'm going to this login, see this login, and the similar way, this register, see the user registration. So in this component only, I'm going to start my designing. So inside the div, we can use our form. The next time using this card. So card have this header, body and footer section. So let me create the required divs. So we can move this h1 into our header section. The footer, I'm going to have one button, type submit. So let me check the design. So now we have this header, and in this footer we have this register. Okay. So in this body section we can define all of our controls. So before that, in this style point of view, let me make one change here. And I'm going to have two custom classes. So our first control is username, and this is the mandatory field also. So let me provide the star symbol, and we can use the class. Already I defined one class. Let me use this one. See the design now. See. So it should be like this. So we can include our next fields one by one. Okay. The second field is password. And in this type we can provide password. and the third one is full name, and the fourth field is email. The next one is phone number, and then country. So in this country, I'm going to use this select control here. So let me provide some default values. So the next field is address. So for this address, I'm going to use this text area, and we have to provide the text is address. See, we covered most of the controls like input and select on text area. So let me include on radio button also. Maybe I can include like a field is gender. The value I provided male. So in this label, let me provide like a male. Okay. The similar way, we can have one more thing. And finally name. Okay. So name, I'm going to provide gender. So let me change this class name. So we can use this app check. See, okay, it is fine, right? And in this button point of view, I'm going to include one more button for the back. Okay, so our design is fine. So let me move on the functionality point of view. Okay, so the first thing, so already I have defined one form. Here I'm going to include this submit event, and our function name is handle submit. So let me define this one. Here we can prevent the default event of submit. Okay, this is fine. And next, let me going to define all the states one by one. So the first one is ID, and the event is ID change. So the default value I'm going to provide empty. Okay. The similar way I'm going to declare the status for the different controls. The second one is name, then this password. The next one is email. The fifth one is phone, then country. The last field are one is address, and the final one is gender. Okay, so now let me map this status to our relevant controls. So the first one is username. So the value, I'm going to use this ID, and then I'm going to use this on change event. Okay, this is fine. If there is any data change, so we are updating to our ID state. Okay, so the same thing I can apply for all the controls. So let me copy this one. So my next control is password, and the state is password, and this event is password change. Okay, and the next one is full name. So we can use the state is name. So we have completed up to this address. The final one is gender. So here we can do something different. The change event is fine. So instead of this value, we have to use this checked option. Okay. Here I'm going to check the state value of gender. If equal to male, I'm going to check this radio button. Okay. And the same way, so this next radio button is for female. So let me save this one. And in our submit event, I'm going to declare one object. So here we can include all the states. Okay. Let me include this one into console. Okay. Now we can check whether we are able to get all the values. So in this console we don't have any value. So if I'm clicked, we are able to get this empty object. See, so we can see all the fields, but currently we don't have any data. So I'm going to provide the values. Okay. Some value. Okay, then this gender. So let me click this one. See, we are getting all the values. This gender is male. So if I'm changing this into female, see the next object, we are getting this female. Okay. So the next thing is I'm going to call the API. We can complete the service call. And before that, let me show you one more thing. So the default value, so we not provided anything. That's what the default, it's not checked anything. So we can provide the default value here. I just added it into mail. So, defaultly it's checked. Even if I'm refreshing also, the same way if I'm providing female, so it should be automatically checked. Okay, now I'm going to call our API. So let me command this one. For calling this API, we have to use this fetch option. So the first input is our endpoint. So this is our API endpoint. So next we have to pass some objects, and the method is post request. So the next one is headers. So for the header, I'm going to pass the content type. So the final one is body. So here we can pass our input object. So that we cannot directly pass. So let me use this JSON.stringify. So this is the success scenario. And if there is any error, we can get from this catches section. Okay. Okay, this is fine. The finally we have to provide the notification. So already we have installed this Toastify React. So let me use the feature here. Toast. So the first one is success scenario. Registered successfully. Okay. And the next one is the failure scenario. I mean this error. We can provide like a toast.error. Failed. And then we can provide the exact reason why it is failed. Okay. Okay, we have completed the functionality. Now I'm going to run the application once again and we can check. Okay. NT user. Let me go into submit this one. So now we are getting this response registered successfully. So let me check in this database. I mean our JSON file. See, we have this data. Okay. And let me include one more data. NT user 1. See, again we are getting this same response only. So if I'm checked in this db.json, the new record is inserted. And if you noted, we have the plain notification. So we can change the theme also. So we can change it is globally. Okay, it is colored. And the one more thing, so once our registration is completed, we have to redirect into our login page. So for doing this one, I'm going to use this use navigate hook. First, let me define this one. Once we successfully registered, we have to redirect into our login page. Okay. So let me save this one. So let me provide some new records. John. See, so we are getting this registered successfully message, and also we have redirected into our login component. So as of now in our login component, we not done anything. So in my next video, I'm going to complete the functionality of login. Now let me check in this db.json file, so whether we have the latest data. Yeah, see, so this information also gets included. So except this country, we have all the values. So let me check why it is not coming. Okay, the reason is we not selected anything, and the default value also we have provided as the empty. So in this case, we have to include one more option as the empty, or else, so in this state itself we can provide the default value. I'm going to provide as the India. Okay, so we can check once again. So once it's fine, we can move on the validation part. Okay, so let me check once again. See, the country is updated, and this address and phone number I am not provided. That's what it's coming like this. Okay, so now let me move on the validation part. Okay, the validation point of view, we can provide the custom validation, and or else we can use the existing feature of HTML. Okay, so let me show you. First, let me consider this username. Okay, so if I'm using this required attribute, let me go to the registration page. Okay, actually I'm not provided any value, so if I'm clicking, it is $1. Okay, so in case if I'm providing some value, if I'm clicking, it is completed the action. Now let me explain how to implement this custom validation. So I'm going to remove this attribute first. So next I'm going to create one more function for the validation purpose. Here let me declare one variable. So we can call this function in our handle submit event. Okay, so basically it will return the true or false. If it is true, we can proceed for further. If it is false, we have to provide the warning message. Okay, so here we can implement our validation logic. First let me take this ID. So ID actually we are using for our username. If it is null or empty means the is proceed value should be false. And let me declare one more variable for collecting the error message. Okay, we are getting some warnings. Okay, it is fine. And one more thing, we have to show the warning message. So already we have installed this toast. So we can use the same thing, toast.warning. Here we can use our error message. Okay, now we can verify this one. If it is working, we can include for other fields, and also we can do the other validations. Okay, we need to prevent the default submit event. Okay, fine. See, now we are getting the error message like please enter the value in username. Okay, so in case if I'm providing some values, so the registration completed, and also we have redirected into our login page. Okay, now let me include for other fields also. So in our case, the first four fields are mandatory field, third one is password, and the final one is email. So so initially we are getting this username, full name, password and email. So if I'm providing some value, now see the full name, password and email, these are the fields only, mandatory field. Okay, so this is the required field validation. Now I'm going to do one pattern validation for the email checking. I'm having some kind of pattern. So here I'm going to pass the value of email. Okay, if it is fast, there is nothing. In this failed scenario, we have to change this is proceed value into false, and also we have to display the warning message. Okay, please enter the valid email. Now see, I'm going to make one more registration. Now we have entered values in all mandatory field, but the email field having the value is not a valid email. That's what we got this kind of warning. Still it's not a valid email, so again we are getting the message. Let me complete this one. Now I have provided the valid email address. See, now the registration gets completed. Okay, now it is working fine. So using this way we can complete our custom validation. So this regex pattern actually I have used for only email. The same thing we can apply for the phone number or else postal code in some other fields also. So now we are in the almost end of the video. So in my next video, I am going to implement the functionality of login using the same JSON Server REST API. So still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box, and also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.